And we are live. Good morning, Steve Conley. How are you?
Good. Good morning, Dan. You're raspier this morning.
Well, it's a lot better than last time.
Was it?
Don't you don't you remember my voice last time?
Oh, I thought it was all right. It was a little raspy, but I don't recall it being like that. You got a gravel going on right now,
Yeah,
which
I am still recovering from that what is it? Under the Disney World trip where I got
mm,
strep throat and stuff. So yeah, my voice isn't completely back yet, which made Gary Con a struggle last weekend. Um
one of the things I heard someone say was that it's very loud, like the hotel and everything, and the space is extremely loud. There's a lot of shouting to the point where it was Sean Merwin over on Mastering Dungeons said that he brought some people brought mini amps with them and a little microphone at the table just a dungeon master just so they could be heard.
I did have a little megaphone with me in case I needed it during the show.
Like a
But
bullhorn.
yeah.
Excellent.
But our the Catacombs and Creator show was in its own room, so that was, it was no problem, but still no microphones. So I still struggled voice wise to get it out. See, I can hear my voice already going, fuck you, Dan, we're taking off. um, but hopefully it gives me a voice for radio and broadcasting.
It's I would record some trailers right now. People wouldn't think it's you. Get those
In a
Kickstarter.
world.
Uh-huh. Excellent.
But I'm so distracted with everything, pulling long threads. Okay. Let's get to what we're talking about. I'm Dan Taylor. I am a creator of Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop role-playing game content, as well as being a producer. And I don't know if I could say dungeon master for Catacombs and Comedians anymore. I'll tell you about that. But Catacombs Comedians, the live stand-up comedy show with stand-up comics playing Dungeons and Dragons, as well as Catacombs and Creators, where we go to conventions and do much the same thing, and except with creators of tabletop role-playing game material. And my voice is gone, so Steve, you go.
And my name is Steve Conley. I write and draw the webcomic The Middle Age. Episode 300 just came out. It's a story about a knight who's in love with a dragon and has a magic sword that hates him. What am I doing on a podcast regarding tabletop role-playing games? I've also started making ttrpg stuff, including the Emmy-nominated Intoximancy, Death Dealing, the just released digitally over on DriveThruRPG, and to my lovely backers, and over on my own website of the Prayer's Handbook, the Metadomain Cleric, and the coming soon Zine Quest for April. I'm missing the window for Zine Quest. Nibblemancy, which you can queue up for at nibblemancy.com. That's who I is. But Dan, you just got back from Gary Con.
Gary Con, yes. This was my first Gary Con, and it was a wonderful convention for Dungeons and Dragons in honor of Gary Gygax and the 50th anniversary celebration of Dungeons and Dragons. It snowed while I was up there.
I was feeling a lot of FOMO until I saw photos of snow, and then I'm like, something. Okay, I'm a little bit all right now. It tempered it a little bit, but still, I was.
But in Wisconsin, they know how to handle the roads there with snow, unlike here in Nashville. So it was no big deal. It just looked pretty. It lasted one day. It was about 4 to 6 inches. A lot of snow, but I had a 4-wheel drive truck because I took the 9-hour drive up there.
Nice.
But yeah, I was there. I got in late Wednesday night. I missed early Wednesday night check-in by 20 minutes. Yay, Dan. So I had to stand in line Thursday morning and get in. While I was there, I ran 2 games for players who signed up, set in the Catacombs and Comedian universe, the Catacombediverse. And those were really well. And then I did that on a Friday and Saturday morning, and I had one show, Catacombs and Creators, which was Saturday evening, in which I DM'd our friend Matt Forbeck, Tommy Gofton, Levi Combs couldn't make it, so I had a last minute fill in with John Kovalik.
Awesome.
And guy named Ed Greenwood.
Name rings a bell.
Yeah. And that was a fun show. The show was cut short because Ed and Tommy had to go to another do their other show. Because here's the deal: we were set for an hour and a half, but there was so much demand for an audience to be at their next show, which is that whole live D&D thing that they're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had to change venues, which was in a different building across the snowy tundra. So they had to pull Tommy and Ed out half hour before our show was scheduled to end.
Gotcha.
Which is no big deal. We ran a quick show. Well, here's why it was no big deal. When you dungeon master Mr. Ed Greenwood, which before I sound like I'm complaining about it, let me say how wonderful and marvelous it was, and I can't wait to do it again. And Ed Greenwood is a wonderful human being, and it was such a pleasure and a joy and to experience playing a game with him. But I don't care how skillful of a dungeon master you are, and I am not the most skillful dungeon master. I will admit that, especially since for these shows, I designed them for speed and rapid and the funnies. Ed Greenwood will fuck up whatever plans you have as a dungeon master.
Really? Love it. I love it.
He annihilated every encounter. I had 3 or 4 encounters, and Ed just took care of it to the point where I'm like,
what level character do you play?
4th or 5th.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's just, I do this and this and this. Okay, thanks, Ed. And another batch of monsters, So it was great. It was hilarious. Your Grognard from Prayer's Handbook from the Meta Domain Cleric is no match for Ed Greenwood.
I wouldn't think against a real Grognard. I don't think so. What did he play? What class?
He played a cleric.
Excellent.
Yeah. And Matt's much more my speed for players with the Catacombs and Comedians Flair, because he played Charlie Goodfellow again, the multi-class first level and everything, can't do anything type of guy. I think John played a Tabaxian rogue.
Excellent.
And Tommy played the same character he played at the Game Hole Con. But yeah, it was a fun show. The audience got it. There were a lot of addition jokes written into it.
Excellent.
A lot of talk of the addition wars. I think a good time was had by all. And we're going back next year without a doubt. So Catacombs and Creators will be at GaryCon next year.
I saw that poster on maybe in Facebook. GaryCon, they got to have you back. It was something like that. It was excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be back next year. Maybe 2 shows this time.
Awesome.
Because I talked to a lot of people, but since my voice was, and then the 2 regular games that I ran, all my players showed up. I've 5 players each game. We ran the Flag and the Dragons Fungin. It was a lot of fun since my voice was going, and that the dragon does a lot of talking throughout I had each player. I gave scripts to each player for them to do the dragon voice with the dragon sock puppet.
Lovely touch.
Yeah. And some of my players were so impressed with the encounters I set up. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to steal that idea." So I wrote each encounter on its individual piece of paper. So I just went, "Oh, you like this idea? Here, take it, put it in your game." And so so now I'm working on now that I've done Flag of the Dragons Fungin enough, I'm working on putting the adventure together as a module to put on Drive-Through RPG.
Awesome.
So everybody got, so I think every player had a fun time with that. So that was great. I look forward to DMing a couple more shows at conventions. Now, that was the first time I ever did that. I didn't play any games because, again, I was trying to save my voice through the whole time. So I just wandered around a little bit. I sat around in the lobby bar a lot, contemplating life. But the venue is a nice, you're isolated, you just can't pop out and run down the street, to another place to eat or anything like that. So, but they had it all set up. There were plenty of, food and drinks available. It's a very nice resort. It's spread out, so it's a lot of walking and such. But Luke Gygax puts on a wonderful show, and it was fantastic. And I can't wait to go back next year.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
So that's my quick review of Gary Con 16, I believe it was.
Okay, what about swag? Talk about swag.
I didn't buy as much swag as I bought at Gamehole Con or at Gen Con. Let's see. While I was there, I did get Kelsey Dion to sign my Shadow Dark book.
Wonderful.
And talk to her about being in Catacombs and Creators. Awesome. I talked to Mike Merles about being in Catacombs and Creators. Let's see. I promoted the hell out of 420 system. I gave out those dice bags to everybody. So hopefully that pays off with the backer kit kicking off on 420 itself, April 20th. And I'll let's throw in a link for that real quick. So yeah, I mean, I gave out so many of those bags that hopefully it does pay off. And boom, there's the link for that. So I gave one of those bags to Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine.
Awesome.
He was wandering around. I chatted with Todd Stashwick a number of times.
That's great.
I checked out his Prog Core presentation. They have a campaign they're launching in end of May, late May.
Like an actual play stream thing?
No, it's kind of it's like a supplement it's a agnostic Dungeons and Dragons or fantasy setting that calls back kind of an old school feel, back to the late 70s type of thing. And I said, well, prog or like prog rock, I mean, 40/20 is perfect. So we'll talk. I see. I gave Chris Perkins his Catacombs and Comedians cap. Didn't get a chance to really talk with him much. I had a impromptu lunch meeting with Joshua Morris of Wizards of the Coast. He's the social media marketing manager.
Awesome.
So he's well aware of Catacombs and Comedians at this point. So I expect that cease and desist letter at any moment. I think I gave him enough swag where I want him more over. I got the official 50th anniversary of D&D D20.
Great.
Let's see, who else did I check? I checked with Jeff Richards of Chaosism Games.
Excellent.
Call of Cthulhu. And I should have had the image ready to show you, but there may be Catacombs and Comedians Call of Cthulhu on its way.
Excellent.
Really good chat with him about that sort of thing. So it turned out to be a lot of good meet and greets and networking and stuff at the show. So, which is perfect. I talked to another Josh from Gamehole Con who runs all the programming.
Mm-hmm.
So expect a very large Catacombs and Comedians presence at Gamehole Con in October. Maybe we'll do more than one show there as well. So
great.
So everything's working. As far as the convention goes, I'm looking forward to going. I'm looking forward to not only going as a fan of Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games, but as a, whatever I am.
So whatever you are.
I don't know. Am I a performer? Am I an emissary? Am I an ambassador? Am I talent? Am I not special guest yet? I'm working on it. So what'd you do last week since you weren't?
I just worked on the next projects. I worked on everything. So you said it for a second there. You don't call yourself Dungeon Master anymore?
All right, let's get into that. I had meetings with Zany's Comedy Club. specifically the owner. Now, I'm not
for folks who don't know, that's your local club, right?
That is my home club. That's Zany's comedy club in Nashville, Tennessee. There's one in Rosemont in Chicago area. And it's run by the Dorfman brothers, and I know Andrew Dorfman very well since moving to Tennessee, and he wanted to meet with me before they gave me new dates for Nashville. They've got a new smaller room opening up, which is better fit for my Catacombs and Comedian show as opposed to the main stage in the main comedy club. And he cut to the chase, and he said, before they book me back, I got to find a new dungeon master because I'm not funny enough.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Wait.
No. Yeah.
So they want you to run it, but find someone to take your seat?
Yes.
The hell?
Now, I'm not complaining. I understand their point. Well, I mean, I'm going to fight tooth and nail to keep this show going. So I'm not going to piss and moan about them wanting another talent in the seat who's more of a trained, seasoned stand-up comic to run the show. I'm okay.
Matt Mercer's not funny. He gives the space for Liam and Sam and everybody else to be funny. You don't.
You're taking it harder than I did.
No, I'm well. You're my friend, and I think they're idiots.
And so, I've already got my dungeon master replacement. Okay. It's someone who was going to be he played in my ill-fated first Podventure podcast, which I failed to record. He's one of the players from the other D&D show, Monster.
Okay.
He's a professional stand-up comedian. It's not a side gig for him. He knows Dungeons and Dragons quite well. So we're going to work together. I will still be very much involved with Catacombs and Comedians, and I will also be a player at the table.
Okay. That makes sense. That's good. You might like that better.
I might like that. It might take some of the pressure off of me.
Yeah. I'm glad you're still there. That's important to me, that you're still on the stage with your brand. I don't want some weasels trying to, crowbar any of it away from you.
Yeah. So I will work with my new DM. His name's Kevin. And, because I still want to add the elements. I still want to add the foul bores. I still want to add the side splitters. I still want to add, all those puns and gimmicks that I come up with. But I will let him be the dungeon master. And here's my deal. Here's how I'm thinking about it. Kevin does it for 6 months, a year, maybe or so. Then I just slide back into the DM's chair.
Because by that time you get to prove that you could be fun. Once they've realized that the dungeon master's job isn't to be funny, but to give players room to be funny, then they're going to realize, once you have the room to be funny, Dan, I think you'll hold your own.
I believe I do, but his criticism was that A, I'm not funny, and B, I'm too monotone. So, all right, we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm going to make the best effort to keep this show going because I'm still very proud of Catacombs and Comedians. I still want this to go strong. And, it's not going to change other than the fact that I'm going to be a player and I'm already got ideas for my character. He's just going to be a human, straight human fighter. And we'll see how it goes. I'm not, again, hopefully, it works well and it's a regular thing. And I will still DM at other clubs. I will still DM at conventions. So yeah, I'm not worried about it so much.
Excellent.
So hopefully I don't have my dates yet for Nashville, but hopefully I have them soon. I am still going to be the dungeon master at the Helium Comedy Club show in Indianapolis, Indiana, the night before Gen Con starts.
You'll be the DM everywhere except Zany's.
For the most part, yeah.
Until you franchise it out to so you have I mean, that's partly what could happen is a dungeon master in every city, connecting back to you. And
I mean, because don't get me wrong, I am very grateful for Andrew Dorfman giving me this opportunity. I mean, there's no way in hell, could I have cold called another comedy club and say, hey, let me do this crazy Dungeons and Dragons idea. The fact that he's, we're friends and he's a nice guy and he gave me the opportunity, and he's been in the comedy business way longer than I have. So he may be speaking the truth and the wisdom, and it may work out better for the whole show. And if it does make the show better, awesome, fantastic. I am not going to begrudgingly go, I want to do it my way.
Yeah, the comedy club is to him what Catacombs and Comedian is to you. He has his opinions about what he wants to do or the people he wants up there. And
yeah,
it makes sense.
So that's fine. So again, I'm not crying about it. And
the Weasleyer thing he could have done was to bring in a different group of people and just abandon your brand. The idea
exactly
that your brand survives, that's super important.
So yeah, I mean, he had ideas and he suggested people, and I shot him down. I went, no, that won't work. No, that won't. I'll do we'll do it this way. So it's all good. It's all good in the hood. Catacombs and Comedian survives. It will once again hopefully have a somewhat regular residency at this new room.
Excellent.
In Nashville at Zany's Comedy Club, and we'll keep the ball rolling. Simple as that.
Fantastic. When you said not Dungeon Master anymore, and then you started saying, well, I sat down with someone at WotC and like, oh God, what do they say about calling yourself a Dungeon Master? Like you're a game master. Sir.
Well, they want Chris Perkins to come in and do it instead. No.
Well, I mean, this is how proprietary they are about the title Dungeon Master being. That's a registered trademark of Wizards of the Coast. It's all rights reserved.
Like so far my interaction with, again, Wizards and not Hasbro. Wizards and Hasbro are two complete different groups. Hasbro can come down on me any minute now. Who knows? Sure. But like the interaction I've had with Chris Perkins and Joshua Morris and other people at Wizards has been nothing but encouraging and, favorable. So
that's great. That's wonderful. That's always what it felt like to me when people talk about Wizards of the Coast and the people there. Clearly they didn't want all that OGL stuff to go down. That was not in their interest. That clearly came from legal and from some bean counter somewhere. The idea that everyone who runs everything now has an MBA and they're not, they weren't just somebody who lucked their way into a position to create these games, because there's really no career path. I mean, I know again, like Sean Merwin from Eldritch Lorecast and all those other places. I think he teaches game design, maybe at a college level, but that's not. I don't think you get a degree in it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The idea that the people running these things are not first and foremost thinking about the product that they're making is really weird to me. Or don't understand the community, the ethos.
I think that's a big part of it is the community. Because I mean, Hasbro sees, oh look, we have a D&D community. They're, how can we get more out of them? Not aware that the D&D community is, we're not blind, lemmings following you. We're just, we set up this community, not necessarily for your product, but it's the product that brought us all together.
Right.
So again, everybody hates Hasbro. I've worked with Hasbro on a professional level before when I was editor of Transformers comic book. I've been to the Hasbro offices. I know how Hasbro works. I'm not one of those people who are going to just, have a clickbaity YouTube video that says Hasbro killing Dungeons and Dragons,
Right.
The corporate's going to corporate.
Right.
And as a D&D enthusiast and somebody who's makes a little scratch off of D&D, I want to D&D the way I D&D and, just roll with it,
Yeah, there's the corporate there. I mean, Hasbro is a publicly traded corporation, isn't it? So the idea is that as a publicly traded corporation, their whole goal is to extract as much wealth from the property as possible and make as much money for their shareholders. If they do anything else, they're in violation of their fiduciary duty. So their whole goal is to extract as much wealth from their brands as they can. And us, so much of you don't end up with you don't construct an owl bear or a rust monster with that kind of mentality. You're like, this will be cool. This will mess. There's really kind of this I don't know, the clash between the creators who just want to make neat stuff and fun stuff and goofy stuff, and the people who want to wring as much wealth from that as possible is so weird. And so, regarding the vendor hall, what was your experience in there? Did you get? I imagine you got to walk through it a couple times.
Yeah, I walked through it a lot because vendor halls are always my favorite places at these conventions.
Okay.
You know, I got, you know, obviously I got the Gary Con t-shirt that I'm wearing here and some of their fancy dice.
Which one is that? Is that, are you, the shirt? Does it say, is that a 50 shirt?
No, it's the Gary Con 16th.
Right, the 16th. Oh, right, the 50th anniversary, 16th year of Gary Con.
Yeah. Right. You know, I bought a couple Shadow Dark zines, another dice set from Gary Con from the merch booth. I didn't spend a ton of money this time because I had to stop at a dispensary on the way up there and the way back for research for 4D20. Yeah. Let's see, what else did I buy? You know, I bought my kid, every time I go to a gaming convention, I got to find a plush dragon for her, so I bought her 2 of those.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's, you know, I bought, you know, Adventure 2. I bought Knave, the game, 2nd edition, just because I've heard good stuff about it.
How does the size of the dealer hall compare to Game Hall Con?
A little smaller.
Okay, so more stuck. How did the vendors seem to do? What was your take from them?
I did talk to vendors specifically about that. There's a lot of vendors wanted to talk to me, which I don't understand because they saw pictures of my fez on the Gary Con.
Did you find your fez when all was said and done?
I did find my fez. It was sitting at the table that I lost it at. Everybody just left it there. And
excellent. Okay.
The next
There's
morning,
drama there.
Yeah. Next morning, I found it there.
That might have been the best thing you've ever done for facial recognition at the conventions. That fez and the photograph. That's amazing. Okay, so you were talking about that.
But I wasn't wearing the fez around the show. I only wear the fez on the stage.
Okay, all right.
Or when I'm DMing, because it's the fez of DMing.
Understood.
The DM fez. Understood. Yeah, it's not the fez of shopping for
you need a different fez for
game material that I'll never use.
You need a reversible fez.
But no, they said like Thursday was strong. But I think it was maybe Saturday. A couple of the dealers were panicking because they were, I mean, like one made like 1,500 on Thursday, but when I talked to them on Saturday, they'd only made like $60 that day.
Oof.
Yeah. So I don't know how it worked overall. I forgot to tell you, I also got a print signed by Easley.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Which print did you get?
The Unearthed Arcana.
Lovely.
Yeah. And very nice man. And let's see. So Gary Con's a very much game driven convention. Even more so than Game Hall Con, I feel.
Really?
Everybody was there to play games. You know. Screw your show, screw your seminar, screw, anything that wasn't a game that I could sign up
I see.
to play.
So like whereas Game Hall Con had like actual play folks and stuff like that? You mean as people in the booth in the demo row, stuff like that?
Yeah. This was all just, everybody would just sign up to play games.
But so you're saying Saturday might have been rough for people.
Yeah, I think Friday and Saturday may have been rough. And you know me, I bounced early on. I didn't even go to the show on Sunday. I wanted to get on the road and head home.
So so the show was Thursday. It was a 4-day show, Thursday through Sunday, and the show itself closes early. At least the dealer hall closes like at 2 on Sunday. So I don't think you missed much by leaving early.
Right.
Yeah.
And I talked to everybody I think I physically could have talked to for the most part.
What about because it's the celebration of Gary Gygax? Was it specifically a D&D event, or you mentioned Shadow Dark? You mentioned
there were other games being run. I mean, every edition of Dungeons and Dragons being run. A lot of old school D&D, and a lot of games I never heard of. There was a war game section, and there was there's still all sorts of tons of games, but not like there weren't Magic the Gathering tables anywhere.
Right. So all role playing games, but I was wondering about that as someone who makes 5e stuff. Is that the better show to do? Because if that's more of a D&D, if more customers walking by saying, I want D&D stuff.
It's a OSR show to do. So when you do your old school D&D product, that's when you go to that show.
That's awesome. That makes a lot of sense.
It's not to say that they weren't, people weren't buying or playing 5th edition. Like I ran 5th edition. But it's definitely more, everybody, I'm not kidding, Steve. Everybody looked like me.
A handsome crowd of
white guys.
No, a sea of beautiful faces. I noticed that about, I think we talked about that after Gamehole Con, how it lacked the kind of, even though it's a college town, Madison, how it kind of it felt like comic book shows from 25 years ago, as if the comic book world got the influx of manga and anime fans, and role-playing games never had that. Suddenly here is a lot more younger people, a lot more women. The Gamehole Con was a sausage fest, in a lot of ways. And a lot of these photos from these events, it's black t-shirts, book bags. Yeah. Somebody posted on the Facebook group, and they said, yeah, I was talking to someone. They were a fan of, what was it? It was like Judas Priest or some classic rock band, and they they had a backpack and they were balding or something like that. Like half the people in the list said, you've just described all of us.
Yeah. Every guy, almost every person in there had a gray beard. And probably diabetes. So present company included. So I'm not making fun of, the diabetes.
No. But that's just, it's the, as we get, I'm swimming in back pain medicine right now.
So if you thought Gamehole Con was very much an old man grognard show, this Gary Con has a beat.
Wow.
Completely.
Wow.
But not to say, everybody at my tables during my regular games were all young people.
Awesome.
Or youngish. I think there was a mom and her adult children were playing there at one of my games. So I'm not saying, it's all a bunch of old geezers.
But a preponderance, whatever, I don't know what the word is. So what would be the, you'll get to come up. You're the pun guy. You need to come up with what a gaggle of grognards are. Dan.
Yeah. A gang. It's got to be alliteration. A group, a gang of gregarious grognards.
A grumble. A grumble of grognards.
I think that's it. A grumble of grognards. I think that's what we'll call it. But yeah, it's a show. It's a definite fun show. I still feel that you would do okay vendor wise there.
Is my plan for next year. 2025, I'll do 2 shows in 2025.
There you go. And then we'll get you at Gen Con in 2026.
I saw a ton of positive COVID test photos coming out of Gary Con. I'm like, no, I'm too frail, Dan. You know me. I'm a wisp.
I sat next to Forbeck, one of those guys that passed at my show.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh gosh,
yes. You got it, and I took it, and I didn't have it, but I'm still recovering from my flu and my strep throat, and
I think the streptococcal virus probably beat up the coronavirus.
And I think I got a little bit of con crud, but that's to be expected. But I took the test and I came up negative, so
excellent.
I was drinking Saturday night with Forbeck, and so arms around each other, pictures taken. So if anybody would have got COVID from Forbeck, right, it's me, and I didn't. So,
well, you drink your seltzers, you drink your sparkling.
I was drinking mocktails.
Excellent, good for you, man.
In fact, they weren't even charging me for mocktails. Everybody wanted to buy me drink, and I'm like, I'll have a mocktail, and they're like, no charge. So.
Excellent.
But yeah, I sat at the bar and talked to Gamehole's Joshua, the director of programming, and we were coming up with all sorts of plans for Catacombs and Comedians. So I'm really looking forward to Fun Game Hole Con. I got to email him and Alex and start giving them my writer. Tell them exactly how I want everything to be.
That's fair.
But yeah, and then I've been approved for consideration for 2 shows at Gen Con. So I think there'll be 2 Catacombs and Creator shows at Gen Con. So
what was the language you used there? Approved for
consideration.
Approved for consideration. So that means basically they're running it up the flagpole.
It's rather than deny me, no, this is not any good. We'll just send you up. So I made it through the first step or jump.
So now the programming people have to look at all the things they've got and try to figure out where they fit everybody. That's
exactly. Yeah. So I expected
do you want, if they say, okay, yours is 9 a.m. on a Thursday, is that what you want? Or you'd be like, or you'll just take it because at least it's a foot in the door at GaryCon, at Gen Con.
We'll see. Yeah. Because I put in the target spot that I wanted. I was shooting for like 4:00 in the afternoon. Because I don't want to do the first day and I don't want to do the last day, obviously.
Right.
Because last day my anxiety peaks and I'm like, I got to get out of here. But I did tell you, stopping by the dispensary on the way up there and having an edible or 2 while I was at the convention did help me deal with it.
Well, for the dispensary, don't you need a prescription?
No.
Really?
Illinois has recreational dispensaries.
Oh, there you go. Good for you.
So being out of state, I can't buy as much as they put a limit on how much I can buy, which is fine. Because I talk about, I'm a California sober person, but I talk about my edibles and vapes and smoking here, but I am not by any means a drug. And I talk about my 4D20 game and all that stuff.
Sure.
I forget I have it, to be honest with you, most of the time.
I wasn't sure about the rules. I just know in Florida you have to have a prescription card.
Yeah, no. It's like California and Colorado and stuff, Illinois. So it's
very civilized.
Yeah. So I stocked up. And so, and in fact, I was sitting having drinks with somebody Saturday night and I said, okay, well, this edible's wearing off. I think I'm heading back to my hotel room. And they're like, you want a little 2.5? And I go, no, I'm good.
What's a 2.5?
Just a 2.5 milligrams of THC.
Gotcha. Is that an edible term or is that?
Yeah, it's what I slipped into your drinks when we were at Game Hole Con. You had no idea.
Oh, I did have a very good time at Game Hole Con. I didn't know why.
No, I did not do that, and that is wrong to do. I do not.
But even against me, I thought you're allowed to.
Nope. Fair game. Next show.
No. I'm too much of a lightweight.
But no, it was GaryCon was a great experience. Again, Luke puts on a great show. There was a lot of, there's the auction and this and that and a lot of stuff going on. It did seem kind of crowded and not really enough places just to hang. I mean, there's every convention you've been to, enough comic conventions has the hotel lounge, the hotel bar. So the seats were kind of scarce at that a lot of time. A lot of stuff was held in there. But I've got no complaints or issues with the show in itself, other than the fact that I'm not a special guest yet.
You've been doing this for what, 2 years? How come you're not a special guest?
How come? Yeah, I'm not a luminary. I'm not.
Yeah, why are you? Where's your Hall of Fame award? Where's your lifetime?
Not only should Mike Ponce have gotten his lifetime achievement award for Cyberpunk, I should have gotten my lifetime achievement award for Catacombs and Comedians.
You've been doing this for like 6 months. Where's your lifetime achievement award?
Exactly. That's probably why I got demoted from Dungeon Master, because I'm not getting enough recognition and awards.
How many public dungeon mastering events have you done? Is it a dozen?
Are we talking shows and at stores?
No, I mean as Catacombs and Comedians.
Well, I did Catacombs and Comedians at stores.
I count them. Then yeah, absolutely, they count. But I was mostly thinking about in terms of an audience, in terms of your path toward your path toward fame.
Let's just say a paying audience. Be it they paid with a convention admission or they paid at a comedy club.
Yep.
I would say 24.
That's awesome. 3 dozen is lifetime. 3 dozen is the lifetime achievement level.
Maybe about 18. Maybe about 18.
But I was just saying that given the amount of the few but high quality events that you've done, I think that you are
high quality. Have you seen one?
I've seen one up close, and it was terrifying. No, but I think you're doing really well given the the return on your investment seems to be solid, is what I would say.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I mean, I'm not getting rich off of this, but I'm getting some notoriety, which is
Does
what I
anyone
want.
get rich off of D&D apart from, the crowd? These Kickstarters look great, but then they have casts of thousands. It's like, hey, we raised $1 million for this thing. And then you see, here's a list of the 50 people working on it. It comes with leatherette cases and.
All right. Well, let me state it this way. I'm not breaking even yet.
That's fair. That might be that's a big deal. That's a big deal for, remember helping run SPX and being part of that for many years. The thing was the cartoonist who could pay for you make table is the term. You make table? Yeah. And then someone's like, well, yeah, I made table. Didn't pay for my hotel room, but I made table. Or I've got my hotel and I got, food, but, haven't paid for the table yet. That's all that calculation. But all these contacts you're making is great.
Yeah. And I remember when I was doing comics independently with Hero Happy Hour. And, the first year I was printing money, it was no problem. I was making a profit the first year and a half or so. But then towards the end,
this will go on forever.
Yeah. Then towards the end of it, I'd do shows and I'm not even getting close to making table, let alone
really
hotel or
the same book at a different show wouldn't do as well.
Yeah.
Huh.
The shine had worn off my Wonderkin, one hit wonder, type of thing. And it's as the show's changed, as the shows went from comic books and independent comic books more towards anime and cosplayers and wrestlers.
Right.
There's no room for independent comic books at those shows. Yeah, it was 2004, maybe. I was making comics the entire convention season long, and I had these 6 or 7 conventions I was going to do. I wish I could remember. And I gave away a comic at every one of them. I said, I'm going to print as many. I'll print 5,000, 10,000 copies, and I'm going to give them away. And I sold ads to people who were setting up at those conventions. Like, hey, you got a booth here. Do you want to? People will throw away a flyer, but for less than the price of a flyer, you can have an ad in my comic. And they did that. It was backbreaking work, lugging boxes and handing stuff out. But I was handing stuff out, and some shows just don't let you do that. San Diego doesn't let you block the aisle. But at other places like Wizard World Philly, where they didn't care, they had their money. They were just rolling around in a vat like Scrooge McDuck somewhere. They had no policing whatsoever. I basically stood by the entranceway of the convention halls. People poured in, free comic. And one guy said, I don't read comics. I walked by. Yeah.
Like, okay, things are changing. You're at the comic convention and you don't read comics.
Right. No, it's. Yeah, I mean, Nashville has a local comic book convention, but it's, I think I recognize 2 comic book talents, and the rest are all voice actors.
Isn't that great though?
And wrestlers and cosplayers.
If you set up at a show like that, then you're the headlining cartoonist. You're the headlining comic creator.
But again, the audience aren't there for the comics.
Yeah. I find I do like events like that. People, you'd be surprised the number of people who do want comics, but they show up thinking, oh, this is the local comic convention. They go there and there's nothing. It's why these authors sell their novels. I think that's a super challenging thing. All they've got is the book jacket cover and then just a sales pitch. And they go from they're every weekend they're at a different convention. I'm like, I don't know, maybe. And I was going to say, oh, it's a young man's game, but some of these folks are older than us and they're still doing it every weekend. And
on that, let's segue to Pirate Tales.
Please do.
That is available for pre-order right now on Amazon, the Kindle.
Fantastic. Pirate is spelled
Pirat. It's pirate without the E.
Gotcha.
And you go to piratetales.com.
Without the E.
Yeah. And let's see, I'll just type it in right here real quick. Pirate Tales.
I just want to make sure people know, if they hear you saying that, they get where they're supposed to go.
It'll take you right to the Amazon page, and you can pre-order the Kindle version for $3.99. And I will have the paperback. I'm just waiting for the physical paperback proofs to show up at my doorstep to prove that and to go on sale. So those will both go on sale April 15th at Amazon.
What's the elevator pitch?
It's Treasure Island with rats instead of people.
And are you able to see pre-order? I've never done pre-orders on Amazon. Do they tell you if someone's pre-ordered?
I got a special page I can click on and see how many I have. Doesn't tell me who, but it tells me how many.
They're not going to tell you.
No,
they're jerks. That's their information, Dan, not yours.
Well, as of 6 o'clock this morning, I had 4 people signed up to get my book. That's
excellent.
And I've done, other than people who already follow me and already know about it, I've done very little marketing on it. This is a project I didn't want to crowdfund. I didn't want to, I just wanted to get it done, get it out. In this, I was hoping to have it in time for GaryCon to bring up there just to, show off, but I didn't. But after I got home from GaryCon, that's what I worked on this last week.
I feel like you focusing on at GaryCon on 40/20 and Catacombs and Comedians is probably the right thing to do. I think once someone starts saying, "Oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this," the person you're talking to is going to be like, "Okay, this person's not doing anything." At some point, too many things become nothing.
No, and down the road, the whole plan is Pirate Tales to be an RPG.
Cool.
It's not how I originally thought of it back, however long ago it was, 15 years ago when I pitched it to IDW as a comic book. But now it's definitely, now that I've got this book, it's coming out as a Zero Level Media publication. But yeah, I was tweaking it, formatting because you got to take a Word document and format it to fit the exact book you want. And all this with the spine and figuring how much that's got to be and dealing with all that bullshit. And I'm pretty sure my first print runs, the cover's going to be off, not right. So we'll see when it shows up. And
something I did with I was really happy because I had done a few books already. And the tricky bit with doing a hardcover book is that the curve of the book, the spine, because of the thickness of the spine, the pages come in. So anything that's too close to the center of the page, a person can't really read because you can't really separate the pages that well.
Exactly.
So making sure that when I did my zine version of the Prayer's Handbook, everything is centered perfectly. When it gets to hardcover, everything's scooched out a little bit so you can read it properly. It was interestingly, the first 2 zines I had done have spot varnish on them to kind of give the covers a little bit of a sheen. It's almost like a 3D effect. The company I use, Mixum, who does the printing, they noticed that when that varnish goes to the edge, it can peel over time. And so you basically can have the varnish kind of come loose. And I'm like, I've never had that problem, never had any problem. I reached into my bag and pulled out my book and I could see it had done it, mostly from the friction of pulling it in and out of this book.
Yeah.
So what I did was I basically just brought it all in. So everything, the varnish comes in about 1/8 of an inch on all sides. So not perfect, but I don't because I didn't really design it that way. When I do my next cover for Nibblemancy, nothing that's going to have a spot varnish is going to go anywhere near the edge. So learning curve. That was my drama for the week. But everything's in production. Anyone who ordered the Prayer's Handbook physical stuff, everything digital has shipped as of now. So including STLs and PDFs, and that's hundreds of emails I had to send out with instructions to people. And everyone's been very kind. The reaction's been lovely. Physical stuff should ship about April 15th. That's when the big shipments of books will arrive. And the minis are already here. The shirts are on their way. The stickers are here. Everything is ready to go. I've got plenty of boxes, plenty of bubble wrap. So then the fun part begins. I try to ship out 20 a day and try to.
Yeah, you want to put me on the first round this time?
You get your stuff when you get your stuff. Almost always I sort it by backer kit system. Backer kit lets me sort by things, but I know a guy. I can get you on. Your stuff can go off first.
I'm like, I've seen everybody getting theirs. I'm like, what the hell? I do a stream with the guy every week, and I gotta wait. Let me tell you about the Catacombs and Creator Show using your grognard. You know that Dirk of Many Stings that I created? Tommy used that to thwart your grognard.
I love it.
Because it has a random effect of making all the other like if you attack somebody and they've got magical items or weapons or whatever, they disappear. So all the grognard splat books,
they went away,
disappeared.
The axe goes away.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So it was that was the highlight for me, other than Ed, of course, fucking up my game. That was the highlight for me is having a product that I create interact with a product that you created. And it worked out beautifully.
Perfectly. That's exactly what you want. And bully for Tommy for daring to use that weapon. That's awesome.
So that was a lot of fun. So also, speaking of backer kit and such, I currently have a backer kit campaign running.
What the?
Yeah, my dice are my Vice enamel pins.
Sweet.
It started on the 28th. Where am I at as of this point? Let me see. Let me get where I need to be. Crowds. View project. So here is the URL for that. And as of this point, I'm trying to raise $750. I'm at $609. I got 44 backers with 19 days left. Now again, I'm doing this to try to it's fun. Who doesn't love enamel pins? And it's part of the Pintopia 2 on backer kit. They've got 122 campaigns running. 101 have been projects have funded. Mine still has yet to fund. I'm one of the 21 that have yet to fund.
But it was your goal higher? You generally said
no, and also I didn't put a ton of work in this as much as some of those higher ones. I mean, some of these people that are involved with this just sell pins on.
Right. So someone like they're pin famous.
Yeah, they're pin famous. They're enamel pin famous. I am an unknown.
Infamous.
But my deal with this is just to help get names for the upcoming 4D20 on the mailing list. And since it's both of them are on backer kit, it'll be easy.
Cool.
To spread the word on that. And plus I threw in I got 2 stretch goals. One was if I got 37 backers, which I got, I'd make the Laughing D20 Catacombs of Comedians enamel pin available as an add-on.
Nice.
And then I've got, if I get 420 backers on this, a total of 420 backers and are people who sign up for the High Fantasy Kickstarter backer kit campaign, to be notified. If that total reaches 420, I will open up the High Roller enamel pin and sell that for a measly $4.20. So I'm making no profit on those, but we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I doubt I'll hit that goal. I don't, unless somebody goes out there and says, but I mean, people, somehow I just need to get a combination of that many names is the goal. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's fine. I'm looking forward to having more pins. I went and bought a bunch of pins as well.
That's awesome.
Backing other people. So yeah. So this is my first backer kit campaign. So we'll have more information on how they run.
That's great. I think that's a really smart thing to do, to check out get familiar with the system and all that. Is there are you doing like link exchanges with other pin creators? Are there any other game pin projects that you could swap a promotion with?
Well, what I did do is everybody has a partner on this. So if both you and your partner, if your pins fund, you give a free pin to the backers of that, whoever backed both projects. So I got a Dice Goblin pin that I made that will go to back both of those. So yeah, there is some cross promotion going on.
That's cool.
Such. Yeah. So, and the person I backed with, let's see, their goal was $900, and they're over $4,600.
Wow.
Yeah. So hopefully I get more of her people.
Yeah, I imagine when they show whoever they are, whenever they show their whatever their bonus pin is, people will automatically go, I gotta back the other one. I gotta back the other one. What is the price point of her pin? There, oh, you say her?
Yeah, her or them. I apologize if I don't.
What is the price of their pin versus the price of your pin?
One of theirs is $16, and one of mine is, I think, 12 or 2 for $20.
Gotcha. Cool.
Because I'd just been to Disneyland where we did nothing but pin shopping with my 8-year-old daughter. So I know my price point.
That's great.
Yeah, and I'm not going to the manufacturers directly, like in China on some of these pins. I'm using a broker.
Sure.
So I'm not, my profit's not going to be very much. I'm going more for the ease of the project than again, I'm not looking to pay my mortgage or put food on the table with this.
Right. We're trying to decide whether the kid's going to go to college. That depends how the pin campaign goes.
Yeah. This is if it goes gangbusters and I am able to buy an extra tank full of gas for my next convention, that is awesome. But, as long as I don't lose money on the project, I think what it's going to do is just pay for me to have an inventory of pins for future shows and conventions.
Yeah. Mr. Perkins.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah.
So I got that going. Had something ready, something in the chamber, and I lost it. Oh well.
Well, then tell you what. Next week I'm not around. Next week I'm at the South Carolina Comic-Con, SC Comic-Con. No relation to me. It's not the Steve Conley Comic-Con as everyone thinks it is. It stands for South Carolina. I'm at SC Comic-Con, guest there, alongside some up-and-coming actor by the name of William Shatner. I think he's going places. An astronaut, I believe. There's a lot of voice actors there. I don't quite a few comic guests as well.
Well, I'm not going unless they're cosplayers and wrestlers.
I think there's at least one wrestler on the guest list. I'm sure there's cosplayers. There's cosplayers at every convention now.
Professional cosplayers with booths.
Oh, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised. But it won't be. The last convention I was at, there was like soap dealers, and I think I said there were as many soap dealers in the hall as there were comic creators. It was 2 halls, but at the hall I was in, there were at least as many vendors of soaps and aromatherapies as there were people who make comics.
Yeah, there were plenty of those at Gary Con too.
My first thought at some of these things was like, is that really what the show's about? But then you'd see the kids or the families whose face light up when they see someone who's just selling plush ducks. Like they're like, what has this got to do? Nothing. Has nothing to do with it. But the kids are like,
you're going to tell me the kids' faces light up when they see soap.
No, I don't think so. I think who knows? Maybe, in terms of tricking your kids into, do you want to get this Avatar soap, airbending soap?
My daughter just discovered Avatar Airbender, so
it's great stuff. Absolutely great.
Yeah. So if I could ask everybody to please go to Backer Kit and find there's the link in there. Back up, Dice Are My Vice. Go to piratetales.com, pre-order my Kindle book, and then you can also go to 4D20 System and get on the list for the campaign for the high fantasy 4D20 System role-playing game that's coming out or launching on 4/20 of 2024. And I'm probably going to use a year, give myself a year to put it to make it hits.
Gotcha. So it's not a thing where you're going to try to have most of it done by the time you launch. It's more like this is the project you're doing, and this is what you're doing for much more like a regular large scale RPG project.
So the official release date will probably be 4/20/25, but I plan on having it out to my backers before that. But
that's great.
But yeah, I'm paying for, I put up an ad on Facebook for the 4/20, the high, and I'm getting a lot of direct questions about it with my ads. Like, what is this? How do I learn more?
And that's
people
good.
Sending me direct. I'd rather they just go to the link and just put their name down.
Well, I think it's a thing where it's true, but because of the way Facebook ads work, when you see a lot of when you see an ad that has a lot of positive interactions with it or comments, I think that ad is more likely to engage with people, because sometimes you'll see an ad. I've seen ads for some stuff and it's like, what is this nightmarish thing? And then most of the is a 55 responses, and most of them are like the laugh out loud or the anger face. Like, it's like, those are ones. Okay, I know to avoid that.
But these are direct messages I'm getting.
Oh, you're getting direct message. Are these people trying to find work?
No, they're just, oh, tell me more. Or giving me the Futurama Fry take my money gif.
Nice.
So yeah, everybody seems to think, who I pitched the idea or pitched the project to, Gary Kahn got a kick out of it. So
yeah, it's clever.
So yeah, that's going to be my number one project, other than, of course, Catacombs and Comedians.
What I like about the 40/20 is that it's that snakes on a plane thing. It is sure, these people have come up with follow-up questions, but if it's questions like, so how does the math work with 420 sided die? I mean, that's where the game designers are going to go, and fellow game creators. But most of the public will be like, okay, I get the idea, I get the theme, and it's,
if you go to 4d20system.com and it's the backer kit sign up, I got a little image there that tells you how the die roll, how the base mechanics work.
That's great. Is that so? Do you have an example of one of the questions that they asked that was not just take my money?
It was just stuff like, tell me more.
Okay.
Yeah. What is this? Things like that. And I just say, go here and sign up.
That's great.
So yeah, all in all, the last few weeks have been rather productive. And if you count, a successful convention, getting a book done, and launching a crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Now I got to mow the lawn.
Go mow the lawn. And I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Just an average guy. I'm not, D&D famous people don't have to mow their lawn.
Terry Pratchett in an interview was saying, like, closer toward the end of his career, to the end of his life, he was like saying that not the end of his career. I think his career was going strong until the very last moment, and continues to go strong. But he was saying that he goes to these events, and a pretty girl kisses me on the cheek, I go home and clean the litter box. That's lovely. It's lovely.
So, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I got to get the litter box too.
All right, man. Get to it. Good to talk to you. Welcome back. Congrats on conquering Gary Kahn.
All right, sir. I will talk to you in 2 weeks. And everybody out there, thanks for watching, and may you make all your saving throws.